Okay, I will move us over in three, two, one. Hello, 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 hello. We are back with AntiAaron here doing Hard Corpse Uprising. If you want to talk more about the game.
Hi everybody, I am AntiAaron and I'm running Hardcore Uprising mode Leviathan in his wonderful, awesome Sephiroth outfit.
Onward to glory.
He is one of the hardest characters you can play due to the fact that you only get one gun and hand bombs as your backup. But for any Contra hardcore fans, you will notice he moves just like you would, but in a 2011 updated model.
Absolutely. And it's one of the nice things about this game, too. But yes, before we start, I'd also like to quickly introduce myself. I'm Tempest Mask 1000. I am a fellow hardcore Uprising runner, and yeah, I'm going to be doing my best to provide commentary for Aaron, which is something I have done quite a few times before. This is going to be a pretty cool run, though, and we're glad to have you all along for the ride. So, yeah, please enjoy, and without further ado, time will begin once Leviathan exits from the helicopter and touches the floor. So, Aaron, take it away.
All right, let's go in 3, 2, 1, go.
And just for your listening entertainment, something else we'd like to cover is that Aaron is going to be presenting this gameplay without the standard music that you may be familiar with for HCU, and rather a little something that he likes to call the Final Fantasy VII Symphony, or ballet, if you will. And how it works is Aaron has actually been experimenting with songs or different versions of the Final Fantasy VII songs. And it actually works quite well when you think about it. He's also put his ear into the perspectives of all the different characters. So for each different playable character, it's a different set list. So if you'd like to listen back to some of the other examples that he's done in the past, by all means, definitely do so. But for now, as Aaron had already mentioned, Leviathan as a character is one of the 3 DLC packs that you could buy for this game, and still very much can to this day. A big point of Hardcore Uprising is that this game was launched in 2011 and was developed by Arc System Works, which you may know for games like the Guilty Gear and Blaze Blue series, and this is exactly the kind of art style you're seeing here, with sprites and a 2.5D style background with 3D assets involved. It is a beautifully made game, if we dare say so, and it's also exclusively available to the PS3 and Xbox 360 consoles, but luckily you can still buy the games on both, and the Xbox version is backwards compatible, so it is possible to do the game on Xbox One and Xbox Series XS. That said, it would really be nice if one of these days we did get a PC or Switch port. Just saying. Now we're going to jump into our first major boss, the Lotus Worm, and the worm is, well, the weak point is the head, so we're going to start a setup by using the heated plasma shot to get some damage before he sinks into the floor and then back right up, and is just taken out as easy as that. Now, a big point of Rising mode is that as compared to arcade mode, which provides more of a hardcore challenge for all you Contra fans out there, Rising mode is something of a beginner-friendly mode, which also provides a new game plus aspect to it. For once, one selling point, if you will, is that you can choose which stage you can jump to at any given point in time. There are a total of 8 stages within the game, by the way. Another big thing about Rising mode is that there is the core point system in the game, and that allows you to purchase unlocks. And Leviathan has a few unlocks that normally would be seen with other characters, but are nowhere to be found in his case, because they just decided to make him that much harder to play. And the challenge is absolutely worth it in some ways, I would dare say. But overall, yeah, there's a few trade-offs here and there for those that decide to take the route of Leviathan. And by the way, he's also a bit of an unorthodox character in that this guy is actually supposed to be the bad guy, and they've made him playable despite that. So we're actually going to be seeing a little bit of, what's the word, deja vu, imposter syndrome going on here in the jungle stage. But for now, we proceed onward into the jungle, and one of the big obstacles that Aaron is going to be very mindful of are poisonous flowers. Yes, there are a couple of minor forms of damage within this game that your character can take, but the big thing about poison is that it ultimately slows you down. By the way, that was the final defense gate that represents the classic Contra style of defense gates, so yeah, no more of that. But a quick shout out all the same. This game actually serves as a prequel to the original Contra in terms of what it is supposed to be in the canonical timeline. I say supposed to be because there is always that possible chance of the timeline changing up bit by bit, sort of like how, you know, Nintendo has a tendency to change things up with Zelda here and there, but nevertheless, this game also was meant to be something of a sub-series of its own. So Hardcore Uprising was actually supposed to be the first game of something that was initially planned to have more going for it, but alas was never meant to be. And so here we are with what is still a very accessible game and a very fun one at that. And I would dare say one of the easier Contras to learn because of the fact that it incorporates the health system from Contra Hardcore for the Genesis, or in this case, Mega Drive, considering that the health system was involved in the Japanese version for those unaware. And speaking of nods to other Contras, you're noticing Aaron starting off with 30 lives, which is a very clear-cut reference to the Konami code. Ooh. It is one of the purchasable upgrades, though. Now, that is a bit unfortunate because we did want to try and keep one of our powerful guns coming up for this boss, Knight Persica. And yeah, there we have it, our imposter syndrome with Leviathan himself. This is where he first shows up as a bad guy. And wouldn't you know it, you can do the flip just like he did in his own gameplay. So this boss has a bit of an RNG aspect to it, sort of. Depending on what moves the Knight Persica decides to execute, it will also teleport from location to location, and that was actually a very good spawn, all things considered. So yeah, the risk you run with losing your major weapon here is that while Leviathan's grenades are still a handy backup, it's not as damaging as something like the heated plasma would be. And one of the benefits to Rising Mode 2 is that you can start off by picking up gun power-ups and getting maximum level for them straight up, because this game does have up to 3 levels of each type of gun power. And so there we have it, moving on to stage 3 of the ruins.
Just beat the song.
Nicely done. Yeah, when I refer to this as a ballet, I really do mean the fact that Aaron is trying to keep in time or pace with what his set list currently going on is trying to showcase. So, in a way, it's sort of like a personal time attack challenge where can you get things moving just right, so to speak. Now, let's talk about the action button here, because something that Aaron does do for certain moves or things involved with the run is something called the action button, which is something you can also purchase more actions in Rising Mode. And how that goes is the action button is this singular button. It's not like there's more than one of them, but you can assign multiple buttons to do the same command if you so choose, and that's actually what makes this game user-friendly, even though it is a console-only game. So good on ArcSys for that. But overall, the action button can be used to do things like charge into things like sandbags or explosive barrels and cause them to go boom, and then do a chain reaction that can destroy other things. You can also dodge enemies with the action button, like that. The typical typical backflip that has the dodge the enemy principle going, and then there's reflecting bullets as well. There's like a whole bunch of things you can do with the action button. It's a matter of what you prefer to go with, I would summarize it as. So here into the ruins section, we've got ourselves a Indiana Jones moment going on as we then lead into our reverse shout out to the classic Contra trope of a waterfall. Instead of going up, we're going down. And the boss that Aaron fought earlier, the 573 Tigress, will be coming back and taking on its 573 Draconis form. That boss fight is going to be as simple as he's going to use the chain laser to weaken the main gun that it fires from, and then jump on to the main body of the Draconis. And then if all goes right, we'll be able to one cycle this boss. One cycle referring to if you fall off the body or if you take a death and you get back onto the raft, the boss will then change into its next move, or rather it'll go into its next move, it'll become unhittable, and you will have to wait for a while before the whole cycle repeats. That's basically how it goes from here. So let's see how we got this one going. Should be a-okay, but only one way to know for sure. Do a little serious time, and voila. One thing that you also got to do, though, after the boss is starting to explode is you jump onto the helicopter like in level 1. We're going to be doing that at least one more time coming up pretty soon. Well, not pretty soon, but later down the line. So coming up right now is going to be stage 4, which is going to be one of our 2 auto-scroller levels. So the highway here has a auto-scrolling aspect where we ride on a hoverboard for basically most of the stage. And spoiler alert, it turns out that this thing can actually do omnidirectional flying, so why we even bother to ride along the highway in the first place is officially beyond me. But here we go. And with that, I think we can pass it on over to our host for any announcements or anything that you would like to discuss for this event, so go right ahead.
Is my audio coming through or am I quiet?
Audio is dropped, apparently.
Oh, that's probably my fault.
No worries, we got plenty of time here in this stage. This is actually, like I said, this is an entire auto-scroller, so there's not really much to explain going on currently, so take your time.
Yeah, no, that was my fault. I hit the wrong button and I killed the audio, and sorry if you just got 2 of me.
Okay, let's try this again. So, like I was saying, we had a $10 donation from AntiAaron himself saying, "Good luck, Anti. You had a great run for the last 4.5 years." So, that's what I was trying to say before the audio cut. I don't know if that went through or not. But I also like to remind people that we are on we do have multiple social media. We are streaming to both Twitch and YouTube right now, and if you are interested in checking us out further, we do have a Twitter, a Blue Sky, and a Discord server. So if you do !socials, you can check out all our socials. And Yeah.
Let's see. Let's find out. Sweet. Nicely done. So the thing about this highway is that despite all of the overall memorization going on here, it is still possible to effectively trip yourself because this game does try to throw a few curveballs. For instance, you saw how some of the cars that were crashing into each other happen to balance and stuff. And one of the big things about Leviathan as a character is that he lacks the ability to purchase what's called a ninja jump. So, ninja jump, for those who may or may not have played this game, it's what happens when the game gives you invincibility in your upwards arc for the jump specifically. And with the ability to double jump or even triple jump, you can keep that chain going as well, which effectively becomes a godsend for trying to keep your gun power up. Because whenever you lose your gun power up, that's from what I classify as knockback damage. So if you see a character getting knocked back, then unfortunately that does mean they are losing their gun power up more often than not. There are some saving grace moments, far and few, very conditional moments, if you will, but either way, it is one of the things that just makes Leviathan a very tough as nails character, considering you do not have those kind of backups to fall upon even in Rising mode. So, and this mini boss is not necessarily viable to beat within a full-on cycle as a gunner character. One of the unfortunate things about it, considering that the weapon is just not that strong enough to be able to take out the second phase's health bar before it goes into the background. The good news is that there is one character who's capable of such, though, and that, of course, being the blade user, Sayuri, and she's very, very capable. Like, if you play Sayuri, you're effectively turning this Contra game into a Ninja Gaiden game, but in one of the best ways possible, I dare say. Now, we've taken on 2 mini bosses. We're actually going to be coming up to the Lux Corona, which is the main boss of this stage. And like I said, this is where we get to see that our hoverboard was capable of flying in the air this whole time. So, nuts to that. But we've got a boss that'll be coming in multiple phases. And by multiple phases, I do very much mean that. Starting things off in a Gradius style shmup sort of aspect, we're going to be going around the entire boss and trying to shoot the weak points, in this case the green crystal like areas, and once those are all broken up, oh, that is unfortunate, but it is what it is. Still, we got the grenades to fall upon, so blast away. And then once the ring opens up, we're going to go for the inner crystals like that to then reveal the main mech. So here we go, nice animation right there. And from here on out, the boss is going to be divided into segments per its health bar. I would say quarters, also wow indeed. So each quarter of its health bar, it's going to explode, become temporarily invulnerable, and then switch up its tactic. It could be a fifth. It could be fifths for the health bar, yeah. I don't know. It's not always easy to math. But what I can say is that was pretty funny how you just decided to give yourself a $10 donation. I see what you did there, my dude.
And it
Very
shows that
nicely
his
done.
hand bombs can be a good backup, but on some bosses, there's no hope.
No, unfortunately. Yeah, this game still has its difficulty and its worthy place as a Contra game, for sure. And, Aaron was not lying, by the way. He has been grinding this game for 4.5 years and has been showcasing this at multiple events, most of which I've had the pleasure of being a part of. So It has been a long run for him, but Aaron is going to effectively retire from that grind as of next year. So that is effectively the context behind that very donation. So needless to say, it has been a very good run and then some. And Aaron is a multi-world record holder for a bunch of the categories within the game. I will say though, shoutouts to some of our other world record holders. I do believe the famed QTT6 is the current holder for arcade mode, which if anybody decides to speedrun that, oh man, you are in for a time. Because, yeah, the thing about arcade mode that differs from Rising mode isn't just the fact that you're lacking the overall ability to buy stuff with your core points, but also the fact that you have a character's default health bar, however many lives they might have, and to top it all off, several continues, which I would say you've got plenty more than your typical Rising mode playthrough, I would believe. But even then, you cannot continue from where you left off. There's no stage selection or whatnot. So arcade mode is definitely one of those challenge runs that can be effectively mercy killed by the game if you're not careful enough. Here in the laboratory stage, we actually had a pseudo stealth section, stealth optional section, and those boxes, those cardboard boxes, in a fun little nod to Metal Gear, is that you can hide in them. It is the funniest thing ever, and it took me so long to realize that in the first place, because otherwise you'd be asking yourself, how are you supposed to open up those doors and proceed onward in the first place? Turns out, that was a thing this whole time. Unfortunate. Fortunately, though... Oh, wait, this is unfortunate as well. Yep, no worries. But yeah, now we're going to be moving into an escort mission, hence the fortunately, no, this is still unfortunate aspect of what I just said. And, yeah, that's Dr. Geo Mandrake. For any fans of the original Contra Hardcore, you may recognize that name. Yeah, funny how the tables eventually turn. But all things considered, the game's overall canon status, that's where some people sort of debate that. Because the thing about whether we, you see what Aaron did there for the fun of it. But you get the idea. If you know, you know. That's what it comes down to. Now, this wouldn't necessarily be a Contra game without some kind of alien-like enemy to be involved, so here we have the Celestial Imperator, and once we take care of these arms, we are effectively going to, and I quote, kick the baby. Unfortunate, but hey. Indeed. The super machine gun. Always go for your backups. Always know your backups. The super machine gun is effectively just like a better, more rapid fire sort of firearm. It's definitely more powerful, but as compared to the standard pea shooter, it's not the most different, I would dare say. So, rapid fire, but it goes burr even more. And we have effectively kicked the baby. But remember, folks, don't kick the baby. You heard it from me. So now we're going to be moving into our second and final auto-scroller level. Stage 6 is the train system that will take us from here all the way over to the Commonwealth, that being our enemy faction's main base of operations. So as we get things going, I will pass it on back to our host.
But first, we got a shout out to you.
Oh, that's true. That's right. Hang on, we gotta do the thing. So, Aaron, If the audience has to know one thing about myself, what would that fact be?
You like trains.
I like trains.
And
Yes,
if I was
I do.
Bahamut, he says, I hate trains.
No, he says I hate spiders.
And he also hates trains.
Oh. I keep forgetting that. And I'm the one that runs Bahamut.
You will be.
Oh, that is most certainly a fact indeed. More on that at the end of the run, but for now, let us enjoy some nice smooth jazz as we pass it on back over to the dulcet tones of Matthew. Go ahead.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, I would like to say that we are currently raising money for Two Right Arms on Our Love. English is hard, folks.
English is hard to write love
we're
on arms. Yes.
Yeah.
Very good charity.
So mental health charity. So together we're making a difference, erasing stigma, providing support, and promoting mental health awareness. Every donation is a step towards creating a brighter, more compassionate world. Your presence here and your contribution are helping us share hope and healing. Let's continue to raise our voices and funds for those who need it most. Thank you for being a part of this vital cause.
I will say this is not the first time I've supported that charity, and they do some really good work. So let's raise as much money as we possibly can, folks. No matter how big or small your donation is, it is always appreciated. So we proceed onward through the train system. One thing to mention before if you want to just say a few more things, Matt. But I was just gonna say that the train system works where the train cars here, they will take damage, and once they take too much damage, they will eventually explode. So be mindful of that. Anyway.
Yeah, I was also going to add that all donations are handled through Tiltify, so we don't touch the money at all. And we actually do have a few incentives still up for the taking. So if you guys are interested to see some bonus content, we do have a few targets that we're looking to meet. So the one that, personally, the one I want to see is Gestalt's Demon Cinder Corgi percent. As it stands right now, we're currently on the any percent, but if this gets met, it will be upgraded to Corgi percent, which means that instead of just beating the game, we're petting all the Corgis on the way. So there's that. There is also a glitch showcase for Gestalt's Demon Cinder if you guys are interested in that. Otherwise, we also have a few other incentives. So one of them is a bonus game that is currently set to 500. If you're interested in a bonus game, you can donate towards that. Otherwise, Meta has volunteered to make a twice-baked potato live on stream if you guys are interested, and he's probably going to be drunk when he does it because he would be doing this after drunk percent. So if you guys are interested in seeing that, you can donate towards that. And we also have one more target where I believe Goji's going to have to correct me on this because it was some sort of morph suit. I think it was a dino morph suit that he said he would wear during the run, his run, if that gets met. So there's that. So if you want to donate towards any of those, feel free to.
Thank you very much. And with that, we proceed back to the main gameplay itself, where we have our second of the mini bosses, and considerably the one that's harder to beat casually for any first timers. I know I had a bit of a hardcore time taking on this hardcore mech, but yeah. Once you have just the right power-ups, this thing goes by super fast. And yeah, now we're going to be coming up to our actual spider boss of the game, Arachne. And this is where, as we alluded to earlier, if you are playing as Bahamut, this is where he would say, I hate spiders, but he also says it at the beginning of stage 2, the jungle as well. And it's one of my personal favorite lines just for the sheer hilarity of it.
Alright, here we go for all you people who want to learn. You do a tap up and block up. Then you hold your lock and aim over. Come down. have the laser right here at the up link. Hold your lock and aim up and fire.
Nice. Very nice. I will say too, it's not every day that I do a commentary in the morning here. For those unaware, I go by Eastern time. It's 9:19 over here. So my morning voice is not typically the kind of voice I use for commentary, but it's a bit of a rare serving. A little nice little thing for those who are curious. All right, moving into stage 7. Thank you. Yes, I always try to bring my best no matter what the situation. And with that, we are going into the Capitol building, or Capitol Tower building, I should say. So let's talk a little bit about the game's lore after this epic intro. Here we go, crashing in from the bottom, using the train we hijacked, and then beginning our full-fledged assault with a few nicely thrown in sirens by way of the soundtrack that Aaron has chosen. No, this is not a siren that you actually hear within the game, but it is a very aesthetically pleasing and fitting sound to include regardless. And oh yes, this is indeed the Final Fantasy VII boss theme you're hearing, one of the iconic tracks to have ever graced the soundtrack, if I dare do say. Oh, but wait, what we have here, an elevator sequence, and a nice little nod, yes, a little bit of lore. I'm gonna let you all listen to what the track has to play, actually, and we'll talk about that decision after the fact. So please, listen closely. I gotta say, you did some really nice mixing with this. Yeah, no problem. I also have done quite a few short mixes myself, as somebody that's touched upon Adobe Audition quite a few times and some other DAW programs as per my job. So, effectively speaking, this Leviathan campaign is very much a non-canonical scenario, because the way that Leviathan works is we're actually going to be facing him one last time here. And technically speaking, he's supposed to be KIA, as far as what the implication is supposed to be anyway. So, in a way, the choice of was it all a dream was a nod from Aaron's sort of logic or perspective or decision making that effectively goes into that sort of very intentional planning ahead. Uh-oh, elevator section being hijacked? But wait, there's more. Oh yes, it's the classic Contra riding a missile section. Back in action here. For folks that may have seen this before, I believe it was previously something you might see happen in Alien Wars, Contra 3 likely. But yes, there you go. So it's back in action, but vertical this time. And oh boy, is it one of the coolest ways to platform in this stage. It is just so dang cool. And this game is just superb. Please, if you haven't, buy this game. And whenever Xbox has a good sale going on, more often than not, it will be on sale too. I can't necessarily say the same for PS3 these days, but hey, it's still purchasable. And anyone that wants to play all the same, we do time this game via IGT, so backwards compatibility and platform choice doesn't necessarily factor into a world record run. You can potentially get that off of a PS3. And we also do accept use of emulators as well. So it is a very accessible game to this day because we want it to be accessible to those who simply want to try it. Now, moving into the Leviathan boss battle, I will actually go ahead and delve into the lore as I personally realize I forgot to do. So the game takes place in the year 2613, and like I said, it's supposed to be set before the original Contra with Bill Reiser and Lance Bean. And how this worked out was, in society itself, we had the Commonwealth taking over most of the world under the iron fist of the Emperor Tiberius. And as such, a resistance movement has been formed to try and combat the Commonwealth. And in what has been a very mixed bag of a battle for them, they effectively set a desperate plan into motion where some of their best soldiers, 4 elites of the different tribes of the resistance, are now making the infiltration into the Capitol Tower by this point to confront the big man himself. Those characters are Bahamut, Crystal, Sayri, and Harley. And so now we have our final showdown with Leviathan, which started off against the guy himself, but now he's piloting the Knight Lunatimec. And that's basically all she wrote. It is pretty cool, though, that they do have the giant sword going on. It is very nicely designed, and also the fact that it can extend is pretty neat. And note that when the mech collapsed, we did not see it explode, but neither did we see Leviathan get out of it either. So that's the implication that he was KIA within the game's story. Alright, so now moving on to the main boss of Stage 7, we've got the world's worst doggo. And I dare even call this thing a doggo. I really dare say I wouldn't, and for good reason of, is this even a dog? But it goes by the name Cerberus anyway. There's 6 heads on this thing actually, and 2 of those are used as its limbs. So this boss is, we're actually gonna wait a little bit. Yep, there you go. So this boss does have an upper side that you can jump onto, but without the ninja jump, Aaron wants to do that ducking strat right there to position himself just right. Alright, moving from Stage 7 to the last level, Stage 8. And this time we're going to be confronting Tiberius on his airship. So, the first section of the game will be yet another auto-scroller. It'll be a callback to the bike section that we had going in level 1. And at this point, we will have a shout out to happen a little bit later, once the auto scrolling is finished. But for now, I'm just going to ask you all to listen very closely to the choice of soundtrack used here. Indeed. We're not going to say anything for now. We just ask that you listen closely. Nice. All right, folks. A very quick shout out to one of our fellow runners of Hardcore Uprising, the only Joey, Biker Mice from Mars. All right. Proceeding onward to the ship's deck. We're going to have a bunch of enemy units trying to come at us. We're noting that those gate-like enemies that try to absorb your bullets, that's their whole point. They just take in the bullets and then they shoot back at you. They can be pretty annoying that way, but we're just going to try to avoid those to the best of our ability, of course. Now let's talk about the different weapon types. And we're going to start things off with, oh, by the way, that was an intentional death warp. So you saw that the character respawned right then and there. It was a pretty tactical trick, really. Nice underhang jump. There you go. So we start off with the super machine gun, which is your obligatory rapid fire weapon. You also have the spread shot, which is a contra staple of sorts. The crash shot is a low arcing missile shot, so something akin to what Leviathan can do by default with his grenades. You have the heated plasma shot, which is a charge shot and also very good for frying enemies. The chain laser is a tracking shot, which if you've played Gunstar Heroes, you might be familiar with it if you've used the chaser and lightning combo. And that's pretty much what it is. But laser is also one of the contra staples, making its comeback as well. Rapid fire as well for that case. But then we also have the ripple shot. The ripple gun is something that isn't really used within the speedruns, but it is handy if you so need it for pushing back projectiles and enemies. It is a short-range gun, but it has its uses. Anyway, so we've been going through the Vitus engine boss fight, and this is the final phase with a little bit of a gigantic bowling ball aspect to it. Nicely done. Using the chain laser to melt a lot of this thing's health allows us to skip a lot of the accelerating that goes on, because the idea of how this boss fight normally goes is you damage it and then it starts to get faster. But now we're moving into the final phase of the game. The entire ship is starting to sink and explode, and now we face off against Tiberius himself. A quick shout out to the voice acting within this game, by the way. The voice cast definitely tries to have some fun here, but there are also some voice lines, if you listen very closely. Oh, hey, he got to do his go to hell. Indeed. Because it wouldn't be Contra without some kind of mutation going on here. So, yeah, some of the lines within this game certainly may seem to hilariously lack direction, because I still remember commentating for Aaron within a more recent run he did, and I just hear the character go, "I'm running," and that's literally that is exactly how he delivers the line. It's just, "I'm running," and it just got a huge laugh out of me. Oh yeah, that's Tiberius Augustus, right? Yeah. Just try to avoid getting swept up by the boss's shockwave from its stomp, and then nail it down. It will have one final hit to take, though, which is why you saw the game force it to have a smidge of health left before that final shot. But we're not quite done just yet, because Tiberius is not finished either. We'll be going into our final fight, that being Tiberius Invictus. And the entire battlefield is going to be a bottomless pit with a bunch of scrap from the ship serving as our only platforms. And for the gunner characters, the nice benefit to this is that the vertical falling helicopter bodies each have a different gun power-up that lets you pick and choose what you think your best weapon will be for the situation. And even if you lose it, you can get it right back up in no time. Aside from that, we do want to be wary of moves like his punches and stuff like that. And yeah, not much else to it. So I will say time is not going to be on the final hit, but rather we will have one final helicopter jump to make. and Aaron will have to grab onto it. In previous stages, you could take a death, and the game will automatically fix you back onto the helicopter to complete that stage, but in this case, you are going to need to get on there yourself, and if you do take too many deaths, you will game over and have to start from the beginning of Tiberius. I have done that in my own first casual playthrough, so I know what that's like. But all the same, let's see it happen. Time. Nicely done. Mission complete.
4329.
And IGT. Nice. Good run.
Yep, it was a good run, even with the first controller having a run issue.
It do be like that sometimes. But yeah, all the same, nicely done, Aaron. Good show.
There's only one way to end the run with best song of the game.
And
How
some
this
lovely
works.
music.
How this works in its entirety, I say it's just it was meant to be.
Absolutely. And yes, not only is it some lovely music as well, but also too some wonderful animation from Studio 4 Degrees Celsius. If you're not familiar with their work, they don't really do a lot of TV anime. They mostly do OVAs, guest animation work, such as with The Amazing World of Gumball, that one episode where Gumball and Darwin's mom fights another character's mom in an anime style, and it was one of the funnest scenes to watch. But also there was the Street Fighter 4 anime cutscenes as well, even the Ties That Bind OVA. They even worked on their own original film called Mind Game. It's quite a trip. And yeah, overall, just a wonderful studio. One of my personal favorite animation studios from Japan. But yeah, as we wrap things up here, Aaron, if you'd like to start your shout-outs, go right ahead.
I'd like to give a shout out to everyone who's ever put in a time in this game, especially the OG for Yuri, Uprising mode, Mecha Richter. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have tried to push this game as hard as I had to get it to the incredible time of 34:45. This is
wow.
This is been a game that I put. If you look at the here, I'll show you. Look at the time that I put in this game over all consoles, but on the Xbox itself. If you look at the
Main menu, which the game is built to track your
total
in-game time.
playtime, I capped that out January of last year.
Which is incredible, by the way.
So I've put an insane amount of hours, and almost all of the strats and everything that have been or what I have contributed, I never had a save state. So I had to go
And
from
that
the
is saying
stage
something.
before to the spot, then do that again, or go to a checkpoint if I was able to, and go off of there.
Yeah.
So a lot of blood and sweat and broken controllers.
4 years of broken controllers. I'll give my shout outs at this point. We have our shout outs to the overall Contra speedrunning community. If you'd like to join us and learn any of the games that are a part of the overall Contra series, whether it be Operation C or even Rogue Core or Operation Galuga, we have a spot for you and some wonderful people that would be happy to help you along the way. Just feel free to go to any of our leaderboards on speedrun.com. And also big shout outs to the community members that had put on all the different community races. It was how I got my start with commentating for this game, and it's been a wonderful ride ever since. And I will say too that if you would like to see more hardcore Uprising, I myself am actually going to be showcasing this on the GDQ hotfix as Bahamut Rising mode. So we would absolutely appreciate it if you could tune in. It'll be Wednesday, November 12th, and the segment starts around 7 p.m. with Angry Lanks on the OG Contra. We would very much appreciate your support there. Also, AntiAaron here will be doing one final event run for Shine in the Dark, which is a blindfolded speedrun marathon. So if you are interested in that, please check it out. And that'll be November 30th. And with that, thank you for DGX for having us, or DPX rather. And yeah, with that, let's keep on raising money to write Love on Her Arms. And